Right. Welcome to the Core podcast. It's been a while since it's just been you and me, Kevin.
Yes.
We've had a lot of guests in a row,
Yep.
and
Which is pretty cool, right? We've had guests from all over the world, technically, all over the timeline of experiences and
we don't have to
all
worry
that.
about time zones anymore. We're just here. It's
still getting
live.
used to that, but yeah, we'll still work on that. But yeah.
Yeah. I guess the big thing that happened not too long ago was the Evo Awards, right? And we gotta talk a bit about that. The Evo Awards is interesting because it's kind of like a gaming awards ceremony that's
Yeah.
specifically for fighting games.
So it was a bit of a surprise on the announcement end last year because they were announcing 3 different events this year for Evo, which was like they were saying something about February. They didn't specify what it was earlier.
Yeah.
And then they were saying, oh, we're going to have the traditional Las Vegas one. And then they were like making it secret that there's like another location for Evo this year, which eventually turned out to be one in France, right?
Yeah.
So people are like, okay, well, France is cool, but what's this February one, right? And then it seems to be in Los Angeles. At least they announced the location. But so people were like speculating, are they having another like 2 American Evos? Like what's going on, right? Turned out to be a award ceremony, which is cool and gave me that impression. Okay, well, finally we never get to see Sifu in the nominations ever again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's you have you have like the bigger awards, the game awards ceremonies and stuff like that, which is kind of more of a general gaming related award show, and they have like big celebrities. Like I think they got Al Pacino one time, and he actually went on stage. He was like, I don't play a whole lot of video
Yeah.
games, and it's like, okay, this is a very, very big thing. But now we're going a little more niche into the Evo Awards, which is about fighting games and fighting game events. If you watch the Evo Awards, they even have highlights and nominations from other events outside of Evo. There's a Esports World Cup was mentioned, I think, a few times in terms of
There were
like
collaborations definitely from other events and other like supporting organizations as well. It did have that look of the grassroots spirit, right? Even for the award ceremony itself. And I guess they want to go on with that theme where, fighting games has always been the niche. Fighting games has been something that's grown from nothing. And I don't want to be that guy, but I look at it proudly. I'm like, this is very cool. I like it.
You're gonna
I
tear
like
up a
to
little
be
bit.
a part of it, but it's just I can't help the fact that I have the eyes of a trained, like a semi-producer / director, where they could have handled like maybe the camera work a little better or maybe the lighting better.
Yeah.
And then I'm overthinking it too much.
You're being then you start
I'm
becoming the
being
backseat.
too picky, right?
Yeah.
Of the production quality.
This is the first time that they've done this.
because accounting that in as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, maybe they're doing this on purpose, which I don't want to believe that's the case. But if they are doing it as in a last minute thing,
Yeah.
like a visual aspect of it, purposely, because that's how things began, right? Like
Yeah.
the camera quality looked like as if we're watching something through a CRT TV.
Yeah. No, there's definitely something about the FGC and kind of there's like there's a pride to being grassroots, and what kind of goes against that is if it's way too polished, right? So if something looks like every single detail and all this money was put into it, there's something about the vibe, I guess, that kind of doesn't fit with what the FGC went through to grow to this stage.
Sure.
And so I mean, it's it looked good in
liked
terms
it.
of like, I mean, there's the sound was good, and
Yeah.
they were using proper equipment and everything.
Yeah,
But
the run of show was nice as well. So
yeah, you just didn't have like these huge crane shots, so, like
course, yeah,
aerial, like
yeah,
robot
yeah.
arms, like doing these.
I kind of
Yeah.
liked and disliked whenever they were panning the camera to the host. You know how you have the creaky tripod where it doesn't stop on the spot you want it, and it has the little shake,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
little aftershake.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a cool detail. That's like, very raw. It's like you just get like a random person just operating the tripod.
Yeah.
Which to me was acceptable because it was a fighting game award show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, there's something.
Which I like. It's like a thing. If they did it on purpose, that's great. They thought this through, right?
I don't know if they did that on purpose.
Of course, yeah. I don't think it was like, oh, let's act bad, that kind of thing, right? Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, the most important thing is that all the people there were FGC people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like, oh, okay, everyone up on the stage giving the awards, and they all play these games, and they've all played in tournaments. And if you look at the host, it is the who's who of the FGC.
Yeah.
And they had a great lineup, and the awards that they won, like I agreed with pretty much like most of them, if not all of them.
I like the ideas of some of the nominations. I suppose, of course, the purpose of the award show is to pick the best of something, and some of them are very creative, which I really liked.
Yeah, well, there's some categories that you would never have in other fields, right? So I guess I mean, it's funny because one of the big things about the FGC is like is moments. The hype moments are kind of what makes fighting games so exciting for people, because you have such a short match, and something so pivotal can happen at just any moment that just turns the whole tide of the match around, like a big comeback and a momentum shift. And because the games can be shorter than a lot of other games, it's just you get these kind of condensed, concentrated moments of excitement, and that's why I think at the end of the awards, the very last thing was the best moment.
Yeah.
Right. And of course there's moment 37, but this time there was moment 38. So
Yeah,
we gotta
which
talk.
was,
We gotta talk about Hayao, right? It's this was last year at EVO. We were both there. I don't know if you were at the Third Strike tournament. Maybe you were playing.
Yeah, for Third Strike, I think I was in the actual the grand stage.
Yeah. So I actually, sadly, like I went to the bathroom during the
no.
Hayao moment. Whatever.
I was there watching it live.
Oh, you saw it live.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I saw the tapes and everything.
Yeah.
Esteban was after that moment happened. Like Esteban, I met him on my way back into the venue. He's like,
okay.
Gerald, did you see that? And I was like, what? And I was like, oh no, I missed moment 38. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. And I'll wait until moment 39 happens. But yeah, that was a crazy moment. It was also Third Strike.
Yeah.
And this time it was, so many years later after moment 37, and still Third Strike's able to bring that hype, and it has to do with it had to do with the parry mechanic, but then there's some other things that were going on in there. So I guess to break down that sequence, it was Hayao versus Frankie BFG, and basically there was a moment where they both had very low health, or no, it was Hayao had a pretty low health, I believe, and he met air to air with Frankie BFG, and Frankie BFG did a Tatsu in the air.
The EX Tatsu.
Yeah. And
which is pretty, like, if you play Third Strike enough and you're facing against a Ken player, I guess it's sort of expected.
Yeah.
But then, of course, it's a tendency to, firstly, make the decision to parry, and secondly, when do you parry, right?
Yeah. So he jumped up there with the parry prepared. Hayao parried all the hits of the Tatsu and then landed with a combo, this is kind of not too different from moment 37 in that respect, but it wasn't the whole thing, because afterwards there was some crazy interaction as well. There was the big moment was on his wake up, on Frankie BFG's wake up. He did a roundhouse with
the standing
Hugo.
roundhouse, which it makes him hop in the air.
Yeah.
and does like a really slow drop kick, and then even on hit, it's like it's not even that intimidating kind of move.
Yeah. But it's funny because I remember. So he did the roundhouse, like the hopping drop kick move on Frankie BFG's wake up, and Frankie BFG did a wake up super with Ken, and basically, Hayao hopped over him,
Yep.
and then punished accordingly. But that moment was so funny because I remember Justin Wong in the tapes, he was commentating. And he said, like, that button is useless.
Yeah,
Roundhouse is useless.
pretty much.
But it shows the creativity of the play there. It's you don't use buttons necessarily just for the attack property.
Yeah.
Sometimes the movement property is very important. So he was able to hop over and get the punish, and that's so stylish too, right? At the same time, it's like, oh, it's like a huge call out, and so I mean, Hayao got like a ton of awards for just that moment. I mean, it was I think best pop off. Hayao, I think Hayao just had like 20
Almost
best
every-
pop every
yeah.
every round. He did the splits and like
All the hype moments, Hayao was definitely the protagonist of the event, basically.
Yeah.
That just shows, right? Just like even in traditional sports, they do have awards and like sort of honorable achievements and those kind of ceremonies to value MVPs, most valuable players, regardless of the result. It's not just about the winner or the winning team. They do pick a certain player who's done something significant enough to their community, right?
Yeah.
So, although Hayao didn't win the third strike tournament at EVO, the champion was in fact MOV, which is also awesome.
Yeah.
Hayao was the one who stole everybody's hearts, kind of.
Exactly.
And most memorable as well.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of that's the significance of the EVO Awards, or like a fighting game award show and ceremony, is that you get to acknowledge those kind of moments, whereas other like something else might just focus on like the best this or the best that or the winner of this or the most this. But the best pop-off is definitely, that's like an FGC kind of thing, because we have very memorable pop-offs. And even Moment 37, one of the biggest moments in the FGC, that, those two players didn't win the tournament.
Neither of them won the tournament.
Neither of them won the tournament, yeah.
Daigo or Justin, very great players. They didn't win the tournament. It was...
It's KO, I
believe
think.
KO.
KO beat Daigo in grand finals. And yeah.
So yeah, moments definitely carry a lot of weight. Like how, say, Justin continued his career as a content creator, people acknowledging him, giving him nightmares about the Perry moment, because in that actual spot when the event actually happened, he was the one who got defeated from that incident, right?
Yeah.
But he's adult enough, he's mature enough to absorb it and make it into a positive energy to follow his path of a content creator and also like a leader figure in the FGC. Same as Daigo, he's like a big kind of a community leader in the FGC in Japan and globally as well. So.
Yeah, and going off that, it's interesting you mentioned Justin Wong was on the receiving end of Moment 37, but it's framed more as we all benefited from that, right? And even Justin, and so even in the award speech for the best match, was that match with
those
Hayao
two players
and Frankie BFG. They were both there, and during
Frankie also got the award.
He got the award
as a player.
And when he talked about it, it's kind of funny because he started off kind of like with the elephant in the room. He was like, "Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm getting an award for getting destroyed
for losing
in front of everybody," but he understood the significance of it, and having good games is ultimately what what we want in community wise. And I remember he was just mentioning off all the Third Strike locals. And he's basically kind of promoting Third Strike as a game, which is, that's exactly what you want to do when you're playing this game that's kind of niche, but there's a strong community of people that are passionate about it. And he was mentioning the U.S., the North American locals, and he mentioned Free Play Arcade, which is in the town that I grew up in, Arlington, Texas.
Nice.
Yeah, which is very known for Third Strike.
And
there's some Third Strike, the godlike Third Strike players in that scene, like Yuki and It was cool to see that, and I think these moments and this kind of ceremony is the place where you can have that. I don't think you can have a Frankie BFG in like a more general gaming ceremony, right? So it was really cool. Did you see those trophies? They're
They're made
gold
out of,
arcade cabinet
yeah.
things. Those are sick.
Those are pretty cool.
Damn. If we ever get one, then we need to put it like here where the
Hopefully,
arcade cabinets are.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, I guess we gotta parry some more. I guess
We got
if we wanted
or
to
step
get,
up our content game.
Yeah. Now we have to practice like the best pop off.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta practice some cool combos that might make it to the nominations. We got a lot of work to do.
This
I guess.
there is a lot of work. You don't just get the prize, but another person that kind of swept the Evo Awards. I would say Sajam is up there as well. Along with
Sajam
Hayao,
definitely
he was
deserved. Yes.
content of the year. I mean, Sajam Slam has been a huge success, and it's just such a good idea, right? And it makes so much sense.
I like the concept where you can gather a group of players who are influential enough, not necessarily the most known in the fighting game community, but just well known in their own aspect as a gamer or as an entertainer. But getting them to play the favorite game of your interest is one task that's very difficult to achieve already.
Yeah.
But then having them to compete with each other and get their fans come together and cheer for the game that you like I think is very, very good. Both I guess in the marketing end as well as a great strategy to get more interest and engagement in your favorite game.
Yeah, and so I mean, Sajam has also was there for the duo, the best duo in commentary.
Yes.
Yeah, which was Sajam and Yipes.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's hard to argue. I mean, there's so many good commentators, but yeah, that duo is they complement each other perfectly, right? And they have so much respect for each other, and a big part of commentary is having that chemistry and respect for each other as commentators. You don't want to be the commentator that ignores the other person and just trying to hog every moment and every single thing, right? So the best commentators know that, and they know how to bounce off each other. And those two commentators definitely have demonstrated that
Commentary,
they know how to build that.
Duo or the teamwork that goes around the commentary. It's all about the chemistry, right? Some commentators understand the task right away when they know who their co-host is. And even if you're the commentator who are known for the loudest voices or the greatest kind of expressions, they can come to the right adjustments whenever they're teamed up with whoever individual the other commentator they're partnered with.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of chemistry going on where they can balance it really well.
Yeah.
Nowadays in the FGC, there are definitely some of those familiar names that you always see on the screen. And now it's kind of the time where it's so polished, where whoever goes up on behind the mics is you never regret it. Kinda, they always are like the right puzzle pieces, regardless of how they're paired with. Seems like back in the day, of course, when it was very raw in the Street Fighter 4 days, where everywhere felt like just your bedroom. You can hear a lot of coarse languages. You can hear a lot of jargons and terminology where if you're not from the fighting game community, you wouldn't understand a single phrase they were saying. But nowadays, it's come to a very well polished state where everybody can kind of cope and understand all the wordings and the phrases that they use, even if someone who's new to the fighting game community will watch it and understand it. So it's really nice.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to another category, which I found kind of interesting and very valuable, and something that might not appear in other awards shows, is the best locals. Right, so
yes,
the best locals is super meaningful because I think these days locals are kind of dying, and they're not. There's online plays really good, and of course COVID did a lot of damage in that front. But the the recognition of locals is something that that I'm glad that they put in there. And the winner of that was I always get this wrong. Is it Tatakai Tuesdays?
Tatakai
right?
Tuesdays
Tatakai Tuesdays in Japan, in Tokyo, at the Red
Bull Gaming Sphere. Yes.
Yes, Tatakai Tuesdays is run by Majin Obama and Giuna. Yeah, and those two have been, they've been in Japan forever doing FGC community activities. And when Red Bull Gaming Sphere went to Tokyo, they've definitely made good use of that space. And we went in December, not too long ago.
During the Tekken World Tour Finals, yes.
Yeah. So there are a lot of Tekken people there, but just seeing I guess obviously that during that time it was packed because all the people were coming from abroad, but just having a space where it's super active and the facilities are good. It's like a lot of good setups, but it's like also nice in there.
Yeah, and mainly bring your own, but they have enough tables and chairs for everyone to set it up, and spacious enough to be a fighting game tournament area. So,
they also have that huge LED screen. Like on the wall.
Was a cool thing.
That's so sick. Like that's like the I'm jealous kind of thing. Like
it's a very cool feature to have. You can watch from all the way across the room as well, wherever you are. It's a really nice thing to have as a tournament venue. To be honest,
And to see Majin Obama he's running the tournament, and he's got a very much a veteran. You can see he's like been through this so many times, and he's like he knows exactly how to cut through the bullshit, and like it's like, hey, we need you, this player, we need this player here. He knows exactly what to do if a player's not responding. And he's kind of very no nonsense about running the stuff, but it keeps it flowing. And
he also trusts you that you're old enough to know these things. Please get your stuff together. Like don't just like hope somebody's gonna drag you into the setup. Like if your name is called, just go there and play. So it's like it's a teamwork in a way. That's how community kind of works, right? Like you can't, of course, if you're new to the place, you kind of need some time to get the grasp of how things work and all that stuff. But if the person like Majin Obama is hosting and he's on the microphones giving you the instructions, it's very clear that your task is to wait until your name is called, go to the place and play, report your scores, and like stand by for your next game. So pretty straightforward.
And what's interesting is that they also had other game setups there. Of course, Tekken was the main tournament there,
at the time.
But there was Jasmine, Miss Shinobi. She was running the Guilty Gear brackets there. She's living in Japan right now, and it's just cool to see like now there's kind of like different people for the different games that are running these brackets. So Majin Obama can just focus on the main event.
Many international FGC more and more is popping up there and helping out as well, which is cool to see. And although it is named Tatakai Tuesdays, I've heard many days of the week, because of the growth of people and because of the variety of games, now they have certain games for certain days of the week. Just the Tatakai Tuesdays is the one where they started, so they respect the naming and the title of the weekly. But I wasn't familiar with what days exactly for which games, but because they can't have like 500 people at the time, which is impossible for the space. I think they said something like, as an example, like Thursdays they would have Street Fighter 6. They would have roughly about like say 50 to 100 people, almost the same as Tekken. Now they're saying they're getting like almost 100 people now on Tuesdays. So
Oh wow, okay.
So it's pretty hype there.
I remember even though that was a Tekken night. I mean, you've been maining Street Fighter, and so there weren't like a ton of Street Fighter players there, but they had a few setups. And I remember you were just like on one setup and I think like you just bodied everybody that night.
I was, because they were saying it was like I wanted to do a rotation, but they just say winner stays on.
Winner stays on. Yeah, you were just there like the whole time. It was pretty funny actually. So
I think sadly it wasn't the day for Street Fighter players. I think they rock up on another day of the week.
Yeah, the pros.
You can, but just going by the vibe, there are multi game players. Even that night that played all sorts of fighting games. So
yeah, no, that was really cool. I'm jealous that there's in Tokyo there's a kind of
Yeah.
scene that kind of consolidates everything
I think
into
it's
one
pretty
place.
central too. It is in, I think it's in Nagano Station, which is, very easily accessible.
Yeah. So I guess moving on with the Evo Awards, there's some other kind of interesting categories. I don't know if you saw this one, but
Before we move on though,
yeah,
because on relation to Tatakai Tuesdays and because Majin Nomaba accepted the award, right? Although
Yeah.
he was the show host,
Yeah.
he accepted the award.
I remember that. Yeah,
I liked his comment that he made during that acceptance speech. I don't know if you remember. He was blowing up. He wasn't blowing up, but like he was like down, like right down to not requesting or asking the game developers,
Yeah.
but telling them right off, like if it wasn't for us, you don't exist.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember what he said verbatim?
You know, I
It
don't
was
remember exactly.
Something to do with these events carry your games.
Yeah, there was something along the lines of that. Yeah, I remember like,
Yeah.
he took a moment to.
I loved it.
Yeah,
Like,
spit some truth. Yeah, yeah.
We need more people like him.
Yeah.
Tell him.
Yeah.
Tell him like it is. Yes.
Yeah, Majin Obama definitely. He's known for telling it like it is, and he's definitely
respects.
a community figure who loves the game, so passionate about
Yeah.
it. So there's
definitely.
yeah, and what better moment to say things like that during an FGC
Yeah.
awards ceremony that's meant for FGC people, right?
That's
So
pretty cool.
So yeah, there's a one thing that I kind of found funny was the meme of the year award.
Yeah, I guess they
like-
can go along.
Yeah, the meme kind of stuff. I think it was,
I'm only laughing because it is the meme category, and I'm not laughing at it. I'm laughing with it. It's pretty cool that and memes have always been, riding along with the fighting games community all the time.
Yeah.
Whether it's something to do within the game or whether it's something to do with a moment, a specific moment, right? So
yeah, the memes are always kind of changing, and the thing about memes is that they have like a shelf life, right? They have like an expiration date. So, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable or important. Like it's
some gets glorified like infinitely.
yeah.
Some of the funnier ones, but some of the ones, they do get they do expire pretty quick, but it is funny at that moment.
At the moment, yeah.
That's what matters.
Yeah,
I
sometimes
guess.
a meme might appear within one stream, and then that's the end of the meme and the beginning, like in the one stream. But Attacks IRL won that award, and I think
he is also fairly new to the scene. I'm sure he's been a fighting game player himself, but him creating those memes, like even I only saw it recently. Like that sort of thing never was a thing before, right? So
yeah.
it's a pretty new thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think the purpose of these kind of award ceremonies and categories is to, give people recognition for the stuff that they contribute to the community, right? And memes are they're part of the community too. I mean, without the memes,
as long as it doesn't like hurt anyone, they can definitely exist in the same space.
Yeah,
So,
there's
and it's,
for sure.
And I give good props to it as well because, I mean, like the fighting game community is always gonna be that, always gonna carry the image of it needs more support than ever, and we can't really have any more conflicts, and any big or small conflicts is hurtful to the community, right? For that matter, something like a meme where it's just purely entertaining and purely comedy that can appeal to those who are not fighting game players, I think it's always gonna be a positive thing.
Yeah,
So,
well, it's a uniting thing too,
Yeah.
right? Whenever people mention a meme and you're in on it, it's definitely like it's a cool thing.
The only reason I say this is because I do hear and see some comments where like, oh, like memes are cool and all, but it's like it doesn't contribute to like someone who's, say, practicing and focusing on a competitive like journey. Like
Yeah.
memes don't contribute to that at all. Like some people say that. I'm like, sure, but like, I guess fighting games as a whole is not just about competing. Competing definitely takes the major part of the pie.
Yeah.
But memes as well as things that happen casually in, say, people having small talks, all the way to having like discussions about maybe a game development. They all kind of coexist as a whole.
Yeah,
right?
I mean that's the community aspect of it, where the people that are contributing need to be recognized, and it's not just the memes themselves, but also the game mechanics and understanding the game, because playing the game is a big part of it as well. Even I think Attacks IRL mentioned he's also a player. I think he actually mentioned that in which is not surprising, right? And so if you kind of look at it from the gameplay perspective, a big part of Core Gaming is it talks about the gameplay stuff. I mean, there's some lore in there. Just if it kind of supports the idea of the gameplay, like boring old Ryu with his boring old personality. But one of the interesting categories of the Evo Awards was best button. Do you remember that? We have to talk about the best button.
Best button.
Yeah, and that's a very fighting game centric Evo Awards kind of thing to do, right?
Firstly, who accepts the award for that?
Well, so Ultra David was the one that was hosting there.
Yeah, he was
Ultra
presenting it.
Yeah, but I think he took the award. Just because I think the person presenting it takes the awards for things that are not necessarily going to a person. So I think I think Rob TV took the Chipotle award for best marketing campaign, which is kind of funny. It's like, okay, yeah, who does take the award? I mean, I guess they could have given it to the CEO of Chipotle.
For the community or something? I don't
know. But I mean, you can't, that's kind of abstract. But the best button is funny because it was Ken's crouching medium kick, right?
Yeah,
and that button,
I agree.
That is a damn good button. Yeah. It's faster than Ryu's crouching medium kick. It leads to drive rush combo.
But this is controversy on its own, because I think this is a big scheme by the Ken community.
Oh no, the Ken conspirators are out. Okay, what do you have?
Because a lot of Ken's buttons are definitely in that nomination.
Okay.
And it just had to be the crouching medium kick, right?
Yeah.
But people are sleeping on or are not aware of the actual best button of Ken is his standing heavy punch.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Standing heavy punch is the button where it's not even plus on block, but you have to respect it because of many, many, many reasons that crouching medium kick doesn't have.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think they're using the crouching medium kick as a excuse to make it look like it's the best button, and they're downplaying it.
Oh my God!
That's my take.
You are a huge Ken hater.
Yes.
This is a Dawson player.
Funnily enough, I picked up Ken a week ago.
Yeah.
And I think I know why Ken players play Ken now.
Oh.
I'm slowly understanding their mindset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a positive thing you have to say about Ken players' mindsets?
I'm either being infected by the Ken virus, or I'm actually joining the dark side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's a positive thing. I mean, Ken is Ken. It's like fun Ryu, right?
It's a very sinister Ryu.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Ryu if you had everything else.
Yeah. In a certain sense, Ken is almost kind of feels like the original Akuma.
Oh,
right?
I think so.
Yeah, because Akuma is kind of an extension of Ken and Ryu in terms of like, okay, he has these super abilities or whatever. But of course, the way balance works in games, it's not like that anymore. It's not like Akuma has like all these options, but then he has the glass cannon, and then remember Oni when he came out, he was supposed to be the super Akuma, like the super version of Akuma, and the joke was Oni is banned, and he never was banned. But yeah, it's in terms of Shotos, Ken is. You can't go wrong with Ken, and there's so many of them, and people love playing Ken. And
and then what's my other like practical reasoning for this? Why do you think Tokido stayed Ken? And then that's where I'm gonna end this sentence. I'm not gonna go any further.
Yeah.
And Capcom Cup is coming soon, so we'll just.
Yeah.
see, and everybody will be proven. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Given
you
the
can't
result.
you can't go wrong with Ken
Capcom
in this
Cup,
game.
Tokido, and also Angry Bird will be a sight to see.
All right. Super excited. I'm actually going
That's great. Yeah.
to that event. They're going to have it at the, I forgot the name of the stadium, but it's like a sumo
The-
wrestling hall, like a legendary.
The Kyokukan Stadium, yes.
Yeah.
The legendary sumo stadium, yes.
So that should be super exciting. I guess the best picture kind of nomination could arguably be the player of the year. But I don't know. It's interesting because player of the year was before moment of the year. I
Yes.
noticed in the order of things, and it kind of makes it's almost like a statement, right? That the moment a moment is something that really raises the whole community.
Yeah.
Because it's about a moment more than an actual person. Whereas a player is about the person. Of course, the people do need to be recognized for their fighting game talents and everything. But it's interesting that the moment took the final position. But the player this time was Punk.
Yeah.
For Punk won Evo 2024 last year.
Yep,
In
for
Street Fighter
Street Fighter.
6, and going through something like 7,000 players. He mentioned it.
Yeah.
And he has no intentions of stopping becoming the best player.
Yes.
And it's cool to see Punk up there because you remember Punk he played in the 4 days, and he was this shit talking online player, like who would just like beat people in 4 online and then like write like a shit talking message to them. And then when 5 came out, he just started crushing people. Like he just started he would just teabag and taunt and win CPT events like it was nothing.
Yeah.
He beat the Japanese players. He was like such a threat in 5. But then like I think in at that Evo when he was projected to win, I think in 2017, he got humbled by Tokido
The one and only, yes.
playing Akuma. So that was kind of a legendary moment. I remember Punk was crying and Sonic Fox made fun of him for that, and it was like one of those FGC new versus old moments. You mentioned this a lot, Kevin. The idea of this, you've made it this far as this young, new up and coming player, but then you were stopped at the end by some grandmaster that's been there for forever. And you can tell Tokido just had the mental game on check. Tokido was meditating during that game. Tokido was just bringing everything that he had from his arsenal of years and years and years of fighting game experience and just dumping it all on Punk. And you can see during that game, Punk was definitely tilted.
Yeah, because see those kind of story like plot, I see often in the old Japanese shonen manga, where the protagonist is like always like this young boy grew up in like a very poor town or something, or very like unprivileged environment, and then you know the journey takes a very deep and like difficult path in comparison to like if someone was in a more privileged environment, right?
Yeah.
And then they get to the end, and that's when the manga artist puts the heart and soul into the artwork and the story and the dialogue and everything, and then the grand finals, the final fight with the last boss. Yeah, if it's a sports manga, it'll be like the best team of that region. If it's like an actual like a ninja or like a samurai kind of fantasy manga, it'll be like the strongest boss they're fighting, and then they would try to strike the final blow, and it's not that they'll like die, but they don't win.
Yeah.
It's usually they don't like completely beat the opponent, but either the final boss runs away, and then you don't know what's gonna happen until maybe the next season, but they never like announce that.
Yeah.
But it's never like it never feels like your
It's
deed is
over.
done.
It's over. Yeah. It doesn't
There's
feel
always
like it's over.
something left
Yeah.
for the shonen manga. It's
Yeah.
like that for Punk. He's he was the actual Akuma of the Street Fighter 5 era. He's just there. He exists and he just destroys everyone.
Yeah.
He's the Akuma.
But see that's what's interesting. I think, of course, fiction is inspired by reality, right? And if you saw what happened here, he got second place at Evo, losing to Tokido in 2017 when he was destined to become the champion. And during the rest of Street Fighter V, this was the second Street Fighter V Evo, so there's many years Street Fighter V left. He didn't win a Capcom Cup or an Evo.
Yeah, for the Street Fighter 5 era.
During the whole Street Fighter V era. And if you think about that, that's wow, right? And it's a perfect example of so close but so far. And so it took until Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
The
Wasn't
second
even
year.
the first year.
Yeah, it wasn't the first year. It was the second year, and Punk finally got the win. And I think people were very happy for him because they understood how much he's been working and fighting for this.
Yeah.
And to be somebody who, if you just came in and you just won, if you just won Evo 2017 and just was dominant, there's not quite the same story there, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that Punk lost to OG Tokido and cried in 2017, and it took 8 years later to come back on the Evo stage. I mean, I can only imagine what that must have felt like for Punk. Like it took 8 years, and it's crazy to think that it was that long already, or not 8, like 7 years, but yeah.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah. So still, it's cool, and this is one of the things with fighting games is the generational the players that play each other through generations. We were talking a little bit about players from different eras that we met recently at Saulabis' funeral.
Yes.
Rest in peace. And it's just amazing to see, in the Korean scene, which is not, Korea is not the biggest fighting game country. It is a big gaming country, but to see these players from all the generations, spanning across different games, coming together was it was a pretty amazing thing. I mean, it's like you got the Hyungs that are like have been there forever, and they're like beyond dad age. They're
definitely.
Yeah, and then you have these young people who just started on Guilty Gear Strive that are just like just barely got into the scene and doing a lot of damage. And so
I didn't even of course I don't know everybody in that room, but I did hear from other people that there were people who like only saw like Saulabis and his partner Murder K like on the first day of the release of Street Fighter 4. That's the only time they saw them, and they still came to this funeral.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
That's how much respect they had for they might not have seen each other for that much, but the person who came to the funeral knew of their activities well enough to this day that they had an impact in their life.
Yeah,
right?
For people who might not know what we're talking about right now, a good a well-known and well-respected commentator, player, and organizer named Saulabis passed away at 42 years old, and he was basically the main commentator for the major Street Fighter events since Street Fighter 4 up to 6. So he's somebody who's just been everybody that's into Street Fighter in Korea, into modern Street Fighter, has known Saulabis as this commentator who's just been grinding, in the FGC
and nurturing the Korean FGC in general. Also organizing the Korean series of the Capcom Cup online events since the Street Fighter 5 days, and even for those weren't necessarily the Korean events, they would turn their stream and production on to do Korean commentary for overseas events. Because they knew how significant it was to have a Korean commentator as a source of communication for those watching and enjoying Street Fighter. But if the language spoken and heard isn't in their mother tongue, I know a lot of people would feel a little awkward. Thus, they felt that importance to have that sort of show going on.
Yeah, this is something that I guess if you're like from North America and you only watch like the English speaking streams, which is like the main streams.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that might not go on the radar for those people, but it's I mean, you can just imagine you want to see the game with the commentary in your language, right? And so in Korea, like it's so important to have that team of commentators and someone like Saulabis to talk about the significance of these players. If you think about it, Saulabis introduced so many of these players from other countries outside of Korea to the Korean audience, right? I mean, you're kind of almost like a community spokesperson / leader when you're in that role. So,
and they do the research. So, like for example, let's say you're a player from North America. Maybe you're in like the SoCal region, and you're playing a certain character as your main. They will do the research enough to introduce you to a country that you've never been to, on a language that you've never heard or spoke, but you're being introduced to another region who plays the same game as you are by these people.
Yeah.
So that's a big sort of engagement that you can kind of imagine how your presence is now being introduced to this new audience that are in a completely different time zone as you are.
Yeah, and if you think about it, the perceptions of and what's known about these players are carried through those people that talk about these players. I mean, if you think about it, like with the Japanese Street Fighter scene, they're watching the commentary in Japanese, and us Americans are over there being like, oh man, those Japanese commentators are so hype. I don't know what they're saying, but wow, they're so hype. It sounds so sick. But what we're not hearing is how they're talking about the players and introducing the players, and so they do have a big influence in these regions for the foreign players. So, anyways, where were we?
It's So, it was a very cool experience, even for myself. I was sometimes commentating with Saulabis. So whenever we were doing commentary for like the Oceanic region or the Southeast Asia region, Saulabis will call me up to say, hey, can you do Korean commentary for this region? Since you know some of the players, why don't you introduce these players to the Korean audience?
Yeah, you're in a good position to do that because your Korean's your Korean's actually good, like not like my choppy Korean.
So I was able to do some Korean commentary with him. I was able to introduce some of my Australian friends who would be on the screen.
Yeah,
and as well as people from the Southeast Asia region, since I'm friends with many people from like the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia. And the players there. And it was pretty cool experience as well. But he's definitely put in work. His legacy will be forever remembered. And hopefully, I don't know how long it'll take the scene to recover, to find someone else to maybe carry the torch on to the future generations. But their legacy is definitely something that'll be left in history. So, yeah.
That's I guess we've kind of covered the events for this past week. It's really cool. The Evo Awards, hope they keep on doing this, and hopefully we can get that.
More of these can be done. Were you any sad when we weren't nominated for the content of the year?
No, I mean there's no.
I was not gonna ask you this, but I'm gonna ask you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the channel has like no content, right? And it hadn't had content for years.
It's very hard.
Like if I had been active for the past 2 to 3 years, like regularly focusing 100% on the channel, and there's a lot of videos and content, and
regular activity is definitely a thing. That being said, all these nominated content creators and players, they've been grinding it, man.
I mean,
when we were just focusing on work,
Yeah,
we would always see their content on.
yeah. I mean,
online,
they've
so-
really been grinding it, and yeah, you know, this year though we're picking up.
Hopefully.
Obviously, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I'm working on the new video, which is coming out really good.
Nice,
It
nice.
also ballooned to be a bit bigger than expected, but it's going to be a good one, and it's going to have interviews from all sorts of FGC players and people, and they say some really interesting things. I think people will enjoy this video. But thank you for waiting, everybody, and to all the Patreon members and the YouTube members, and you guys are making this possible for us to do these podcasts and talk about these things. And yeah, we're just
Very appreciated. Yes. Mhm.
yeah, and yeah, this video, I hate saying the video will come out soon because it
You
never
said
is
that
soon.
2 months ago.
Yeah, I say that a lot, and then like I end up changing a lot of stuff in the video, and then it expands, and then you
mean,
know
if
I'm
it's-
revising the script. But the thing is, right now in this editing phase, right now I'm in the concluding paragraph video editing portion, if that means
Okay.
anything. So
Right.
I guess I should just say where I'm at with the video. There's a lot of recordings that we had to do that were live action recordings for this one. So that I didn't expect that one to take so much time, but it does. Actually, after this podcast, I need to record a few things with you for live action things.
Oh, damn. I'm in the video now?
Yeah, you're in the
Yay.
video. You're in the video multiple times.
I'm going to do a lot of reenactments, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, so yeah, that's on the way. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay.